What does it really take to build the perfect training plan to run a sub 3-hour marathon? Is it more time on feet, getting those miles into the legs? Well, yes and no. Today I'm going to dive into how I've built my training plan for the Berlin 2025 marathon, and make sure you stick around to the end where I might give you a more surprising top tip. The foundation of my training is going to be built around 3 runs. Tuesday track, Thursday tempo, and my weekend long runs. Tuesday track, these are about getting speed into the legs. Doing short, sharp intervals. We're looking at anywhere between 200 up to maybe a mile, 1600 meters. And doing these repeatedly so your legs get really used to that tired feeling, but also getting used to running faster. Why is this useful? Well, it helps increase your VO2 max. And also when you then start to run further, but slower, your legs feel like it's pretty easy. Thursday tempo is where I'm going to be running a little bit quicker than my marathon pace, getting my heart rate up and getting my legs used to that lactate, getting them used to running tired so that when it comes to the 35, 40 or maybe even 30 kilometers in the marathon, I'm used to that. I can push through that pain barrier, that effort barrier, and I know that I can keep on going. These ones are probably going to be between 10 and 15 kilometers at the beginning, maybe getting a little bit longer as we get towards the sharp end of marathon training, and really allowing me to know when I hit the latter stages of the marathon, I've got that ability, when my heart's pumping, my legs are feeling heavy, to keep on pushing and get it across the finish line. And then we have the weekend long runs. Now, I'll attempt to do these on a Saturday, just my personal preference. I was speaking to a friend at track on Tuesday who said he likes to do his long runs on a Monday. Kind of blew my mind, but if you've got the time on a Monday, perfect. They don't have to be at the weekend. I'm going to be doing these, as I've said in previous videos, at different stages of the day when it's super, super hot. I don't want to be out in the sun, but I don't want to shy away from getting used to that heat. Because if race day comes along and it's 25 degrees, I can't change that. I can't say, can we start the race a little bit later, a little bit earlier? These long runs are slowly going to build up over time until the longest run, looking at around 35 to 38 kilometers, depending on how the rest of the training has been going. I'm also going to be building in an easy run and a cycle or 2 a week. The easy runs, mostly with friends, just a great opportunity to get out, spend some time with friends and to get a few more kilometers in. These will probably have a set distance that I'll be aiming for to get my weekly mileage in, but pace-wise, it's talking pace, it's zone 2, it's making sure that I can have a good conversation with my friends, catch up, and generally just enjoy running, because a lot of the other sessions are going to be hard work and might make me second guess or have second thoughts about why I'm running this marathon. I'm also going to be cycling a little bit. I think it's important to spend some time where you're not doing that same running repetitive motion. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just a nice opportunity to mix things up. In fact, this weekend I'm riding a 300 kilometer brevet, or trying to at least, so make sure you check out the video which I'll be publishing soon on that. Now, all this talk of long runs and Tuesday track and Thursday tempo, how far am I actually going to be doing? Well, currently, I haven't been doing that much in a week, looking at around kind of 25 to I think 35 kilometers. I'll put my Strava up here in a second, but I have been mixing in some cycling. I went on cycling in Mallorca last week and got a few kilometers there, so I still count this all towards training of my legs. Now, as we go up towards the marathon, I'm going to slowly increase my training. You can see here the graph that shows how I'm going to be increasing my weekly mileage as we get there. And the line here is showing like the general trend. But you'll notice there's some dips in there. Your legs can't, or your legs will do better if you take a time to recover, deload, to use that term. I'm going to build these into my training plan probably once every 4 weeks. That's the current plan. But I will listen to my body. If my body is saying we can't go any further, I will listen, I'll take a rest, because I don't want to injure myself, because that's going to take me even longer to get back. I'm also going to be building in some strength training. So, as I said in previous videos, I split this across 3 days as well. Pull day, a push day, and a leg day. My leg days I will keep separate from Tuesday track, Thursday tempo, and probably even keep it separate from the easy runs. Definitely separate and probably a day away at least from my long runs. But the push and the pulls, these are push exercises and pull exercises. I will incorporate these into the days when I'm also doing a run, simply because there's 7 days a week, and once you add in 3 gym days, 3 workout days, a run, maybe an easy run and a cycle, that's too many sessions to have one every single day, plus a rest day. And I do think a rest day is super important in the week, both your body and your mind. How am I going to keep track of all of this? Well, I personally love a spreadsheet. People might laugh at this, but this is how I track what I'm doing. This is relatively basic. You can see I just have what running session I'm going to be doing, whether I'm going to be cycling by myself with a club, if there's an event happening. This allows me to know when I'm going into a week, what do I need to plan for, what times do I need to make sure I'm getting out of the house to get the run in, to get the gym session in, and it allows me to make sure I don't have any excuses for missing a session. But I know this isn't for everyone. I think it's really important to have some sort of plan, even if it's just something basic like this, where you just say, I'm going to run on these days. It doesn't have to be a time of day that you have in there. It doesn't even have to be which specific session, but just saying maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, that's when I'm going to run. And then you make sure you get out those first few steps to get out the door. They're always the hardest, but once you're out, for most of us, I think you'll find that you'll really, really enjoy it. Now, I've already spoken about periodization, having deloading weeks running. I'll also be doing that in the gym. But I thought I'd also show you what happens when reality strikes. This is my training as I went to the 2024 London Marathon. You can see it's not quite as perfect as my training plan I'm hoping to cover for Berlin, but that's just what happens with life. Life gets in the way. There might be times when your long run, instead of being on a Sunday, slips into the Monday, and so therefore you get these weird weeks where you have a lot more or a lot less, and that's okay. I think my biggest takeaway for everyone watching this, and that I'm also going to take on board myself, is I'm not going to beat myself up when a session doesn't go as planned, when I have to skip a session because my legs just don't have it in them. That is okay. I want to make sure I can get to the start line of the Berlin 2025 marathon in one piece, healthy and ready to go, both physically and mentally, as opposed to burning out physically or mentally in the long run or in the lead up to it. And my perhaps surprising tip? Well, this doesn't work for everyone. I know some people just love having a bit of more freedom, just trying to get kilometers in the legs. Sometimes they run it a little bit quicker, sometimes they run it a little bit slower. There's some fantastic apps out there for all these training plans. You've got Runner, which has been massive recently, but there's also Kaizen, which is at completely the other end, which recommends a distance that you should run, and the faster you run, the lower down that target comes, based upon how fast you want to run. So I really recommend, if you're planning to run a marathon, you make sure you find a training plan that works for you, and if it's flexibility you want, there are options out there. So that's my training plan, my blueprint for 2025. Will it all go to plan? You have to stick around to find out and see whether I manage to hit all my goals and hit my targets along the way. But I also appreciate your input. If you have any thoughts on my training plan, or if you have any top tips that you've learned from your own training, or maybe where you've made mistakes along the way, I'd love to hear from them. And as always, give that subscribe button a hit so you can follow along as we race to sub 3 at Berlin 2025.